Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special Tuesday episode of the No Contest Wrestling Podcast. I am the heel that you love to hate, Shea Jackson Jr., a.k.a. Petty Guerrero.
Hey, yo, it's me. It's the TOO, J-I-double-G, 2G, TJ Jefferson.
Yeah, man, and, we hope you guys enjoyed your Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, hope you guys were all safe.
Which is what we wanted to do as well, which is why we didn't have an episode yesterday. But here we are on Tuesday.
Back like we never left.
A plethora of wrestling news. A lot has gone down. It's been one of the best wrestling weekends I've had in a long time. And we will be getting to all of it today. We will be talking about everything going on in WWE. We're going to be talking about AEW rocking the house and the fact that our boy,
our brother,
Trick Willie, is your TNA World Champion.
No doubt, man.
That's crazy.
I know we got a little bit of our head ourselves. We'll get back. But like, how many group chats are we in with heavyweight champions of the world?
Okay,
yes, I'm only in one. It's me, you, and Trick Willie. Now, you got two.
Yeah, shout out to Jey Uso.
Yeah, you got two, but I only got one. So, yeah, there we go. That was from a few weeks ago.
He's champ now.
He's the champ. TNA heavyweight champion of the world, made history. Shea, it kind of goes back to the first thing I said when I saw Trick. I brought it up to you. I brought it up to him in the interview when he was working with Mello Hayes, and he was kind of the heater. He was the heavy. Yeah. And Mello was doing his thing. He was getting pushed. You could tell they had high hopes for him. But I was always looking at the dude behind him, going, that dude to me is a star. Yeah. There was something about him. Like, if he can go at all in the ring, this dude will be a star. And then it's kind of like, I felt a little validated when that 3 count got hit, and Trick Willie became the first WWE superstar current to win a TNA championship, the TNA World Championship.
And like we said, we're going to get to that a little bit later. But
we had to give him props.
Yeah, we got to give him props to top it off. But we're getting to the shows and everything. But I think the best way to start this off is with some major news that happened. New Orleans lost WrestleMania. Yeah, and as terrible it is for our bank accounts, we going back to Vegas.
Allegedly, we're going back to Vegas.
Allegedly, is what it seems like.
I didn't know that. You hit me up on the group chat, not the one Trick was on, but the one with me, you, and our manager, Don Bowie. And I was like, wait, what? Like, But, a lot of people were upset, but people are going to be upset about everything, no matter what you do. Remember what Pac said? There's many rules to the game. I'm going to share with you too. No, people going to hate you for whatever you do. Talk to them. No matter what happens, someone's going to be mad. I understand if you live down in Louisiana, if you were, you were looking forward to this probably for, the last few months since it's been announced. And I don't know the reasons behind it. They just had a Super Bowl. So I don't think infrastructure is really an issue. I don't see how it can be when you hold a Super Bowl. Right. But for whatever reason, man, I've already been checking out rooms at the Fontainebleau. I did not book it. Yeah, and then overnight, the price went up $100. So I might have to just go ahead and put a hold on the room just in case.
Just in case. And you know what? Number one, I do feel for the people of New Orleans because I know what it's like to be excited for a WrestleMania just to have it taken away. If people don't remember, the Los Angeles WrestleMania was actually planned before, but Tampa lost theirs because of the pandemic, so they had to go back to they had to give Tampa their WrestleMania before we could get ours. So I know what it's like to have your mind set for it. And honestly, I was really surprised because you and I talk a lot about Mania, and I recently was like, how does New Orleans get another Mania? Like it was like through a Mania every 4 years. Like they were on a weird run where they were just like getting a lot of Mania.
Rotation.
So, it's unfortunate. I know they'll get you back. But right now, for whatever reason, a bid has been drawn. A lot of speculation that it is Las Vegas. And so we'll see. It might be the first time since WrestleMania 4 and 5 where they do back-to-back cities. That was Atlantic City, and it was, sponsored by the President of the United States. How crazy is that? So
Hall of Famer.
How full circle is that, right? But we'll see. Either way, we'll stay tuned to where WrestleMania is going. But the No Contest Wrestling Podcast, we gonna be there. I'm gonna let you know right now.
Hopefully, we had a great time in Vegas. Fontainebleau was excellent. Just everything, man. Everything was, and it's still so fresh. It feels like it just happened, and you realize, man, that was like a month ago.
Right. My liver is still recovering.
but yeah, looking forward to it simply because it's closer for us. Like,
yeah, I love that.
You know, you rode the bus there, man. I had a 50-minute flight there. So, and you know, with TKO in charge, like you said, we're not investigative journalists. It's not where we're necessarily going with this podcast, but a lot of people feel TKO in charge, Vegas being the fight capital of the world. To someone like me who grew up loving boxing and knowing where Vegas stands in that, when it comes to the fight game, it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You have it there in Vegas. I know a lot of people were upset, but again, like I said, people are going to be mad about anything.
So, that's the one thing about social media is it made everyone feel like they have a voice.
Yeah.
And sometimes that voice is going to get ignored and we're going to watch anyway.
Yeah, we're going to be in. Somebody was like, I read a tweet from somebody, but well, you know, last year stunk and night one stunk except for the main event.
Like that has to do with Vegas.
Yeah, that was Las Vegas's fault. That you didn't like the card because of this. Because had it been, and I don't know, like you know, Bowling Green, Kentucky would have been different. You know?
Exactly.
Like, come on.
The Bowling Green's fine people down there.
I'm sure
fine people
down
there. But to quote Travis Scott, they fiending for more. Now, no more, please, God.
My bad.
So. A lot of wrestling. Friday, obviously, SmackDown is on. A couple of Money in the Bank qualifiers that happened. But first, I want to talk about there was a segment between Tiffy, Charlotte, and Alexa Bliss. And Tiffy shows little fangs.
Had to, man.
They've been talking crazy about you. And it was good to see her. She felt comfortable, felt in control, dropped a bar. You know, what more could you ask for out of it? The vintage line? You guys are a little vintage for me. And then I love the fact that she brought up to Charlotte, didn't you just diss me for being the Money in the Bank winner that cashed in? Why are you even in a qualifying match? And Charlotte had to give it up. Like, damn, that's a good point.
That's but that didn't. Why are you bringing up old stuff? That's
like, hold on, that was months ago. It was a whole different story. But I thought that was hilarious. And for Charlotte to even in the moment give the nod of like, that's a fair point. I did say that. You know, I love that. Obviously, Alexa Bliss, you don't get in the way with words with 5 Feet of Fury.
I'm telling you, man, like Bliss
she's spicy.
She can bring it on the mic sometimes, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, she took the vintage line and was like, the older you get, the more valuable you were.
Yeah. And then on Twitter, she was like, calling us vintage when you're the knockoff or something like that. You know, it was something, paraphrasing. Yeah. But we all know Alexa Bliss got bars, which is why we were so excited at Royal Rumble. If you've seen the Royal Rumble, you saw our faces when Alexa Bliss
I will say this. I mean, I was excited, but you marked out.
You
had the Matt Striker mark out moment when Booker T came back to the Royal Rumble. Like you marked out for Alexa Bliss. Because
I'm such an Alexa Bliss fan. You know that her, even though they changed it, thanks, Def Rebel. But even though they changed her theme,
which you had on your top 10,
it's on my top 10, bros. I've been a Bliss supporter for so long. She was gone for so long. I was so happy to see her back. And
she was creating new life, bro. That's
I completely understand that, and that's a beautiful journey.
Yeah,
beautiful journey.
She made a baby with her body,
a whole person.
Yeah,
person is crazy. All right, what else went down? We got our girl Julia.
Yeah.
She qualified. She beat out Zelina Vega and Charlotte Flair to qualify. The response, I feel like, I recently said on Twitter that is Julia the fastest call up from NXT that I've ever seen, and crowds are still going to have to get used to Julia a little bit. You know, there's certain moments that will come over time because of her in-ring ability.
Yeah.
But I it's just one of those, I wish she kind of had a little bit more like of that NXT growth, but she's such a star.
She's already,
you kind of foam at the mouth for like getting her there. But she's there, and I expect her to put on a show in Money in the Bank. It changed my ideology on Lyra Valkyria when she put on a show in Money in the Bank, the Money in the Bank where Tiffy ended up getting the briefcase. I watched that, and Zoe's and Lyra, I was like, okay, I'm paying attention now.
Yeah.
And I think Julia has to put on one of those performances.
Yeah, and I think, I've been following Julia for a few years on Twitter now, and, just have seen some of her work in Japan. I can say this based upon the stuff that I saw. WWE NXT fans, you haven't even seen, you haven't even seen how good this woman is, right? For anything that you've seen so far, it's like we're getting her at maybe 60%. When they finally decide to unleash her, it's going to be, special. But like you said, it would have been awesome for her to kind of had time to build up her name here a little bit, because over there she was a superstar.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody outside of the WWE bubble knew Julia. So it would have been nice for her to be able to build herself up a little bit, but then she had the injury, I guess, had to drop the title to Stephanie. And now it was like she was finding her way. Her and Roxanne came up, or, our niece Roxanne. We're like, that was a weird tag team. Now they're split apart.
Right.
And so we'll see. But I'm glad she got the dub. And, it helps that Charlotte didn't get the dub, because now we can kind of hopefully lose some of this anti-Charlotte sentiment that's out there that I've been saying from day one is just ridiculously uncalled for. But, big ups, Julia, getting that win and moving on.
Absolutely. We're excited to see it. Also, LA Knight qualified. LA Knight qualified and beaten Aleister Black and Shinsuke Nakamura. By the way, the idea of a triple threat that involves Aleister Black and Shinsuke Nakamura is just crazy.
Right.
LA Knight getting the victory. LA Knight is just one of those guys where this is his third Money in the Bank. You kind of feel like the crowd has been behind LA Knight for so long. Obviously, his hottest was during the Bloodline thing. So it's kind of hard to get a title victory during that run.
Yeah, that just ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, it's just not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
So a lot of people are speculating that third time's a charm for LA Knight, but there's some names piling up in this Money in the Bank, bro.
Obviously, when you sat down and you are a member of the NCW fam, we hold you a little tighter
for you.
We got LA Knight. He was a friend of the show, so yeah, man. It's going to be interesting. I need to see the whole card really shape up
Still
before I
haven't gotten
decide.
it all.
Yeah, decide who. But you know me, man. I love Nakamura.
Yeah.
And
February 24th.
It's just, is that his birthday?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that your birthday?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
That's my boy.
Yeah, it's just, it's tough for me, man, because I really started following Nakamura heavy back in, I think, 2009, 10. I started, subscribing to New Japan World back in 2013. Yeah. I think somewhere along the way there, just so I could watch Wrestle Kingdoms, so I could be up at 4 a.m. to watch Wrestle Kingdom. And a lot of the reason was Shinsuke Nakamura. He is my favorite wrestler, and it just, I don't know, man.
Him and Finn are kind of feeling like,
but at least Finn's getting TV time.
Yeah.
Finn's got a storyline. I don't know what's going on with Shinsuke, but that to me, it's just a great disappointment. That WrestleMania,
I'll never forgive him.
Title change should have been pulled.
I'll never forgive him.
And so for me, it just stinks when you have a guy who you've seen just be as charismatic, be as great in the ring as anyone that you've ever watched. And now it's like, all right, it's kind of an afterthought. I don't like that, man. I really don't like that.
Yeah, that's what happens when you let Seth Rollins take his flavor. Anyway, so we had Jacob Fatu, Jacob Fatu and JC Mateo.
Yeah, Jeff Cobb Mateo.
Yeah, Jeff Cobb Mateo. They got the win over Big Jim and Ray Phoenix. We obviously see the writing on the wall, what's going on with Jacob, Solo, and JC. Anticipated, I think they're going to stretch that a little bit longer.
Yeah, Mr. Fantastic style.
Yeah, a little bit longer. I know you love what Solo's doing right now.
I love you, Solo. Solo's just funny, man. Solo, if you remember, he got over so quick when he got brought up, and then he just kind of got lost when, with the LA Knight thing. Now you turned on Roman, and now you got to go face him. You ain't going to get too many L's. No. Too many W's in that position. So it kind of put Solo in a weird position for a while. Where fans were a little over him, I think. So I think it was good for him to get away for a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of,
little go away heat.
And now he's coming back. He's doing fantastic impressions of Jacob.
Yeah.
And low key, Solo Sikoa is funny as hell, man.
Funny. For a guy who, when he got called up, couldn't say a word. He is hilarious.
And not because he couldn't. They just didn't let him.
Yes, the enforcer gimmick.
Solo is low key hysterical, man. Yeah. And so, I'm interested in this. I'm buying this. Like I said, I like Jeff Cobb. I like Solo. I like Tama Tonga. Love Jacob. Like I that new bloodline, if that is what they are, whatever they're calling, I'm still drawn to that group because I like everybody in it.
Absolutely, all gas, no brakes.
Yep. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Also, side note, I do love that they put Michin and BFAB together.
Okay.
They kind of are like there's a lot of rumblings for those who are in the know on social media. Those two are very underappreciated, and so when you hear AJ Francis, friend of the show, AJ Francis, he spoke so highly of BFAB, and Michin has been. She's done everything that's asked of her. Yeah. So, just to see two people that you want the best for team up, I hope that they find some gold within that, and I hope that they find the magic a little bit. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that pairing. My eyes are on you, and nothing but great success. Tommaso, you got something?
Well, you said, speaking of gold, it seems like everyone's complaining about them getting rid of the tag team. So what's going on with this tag team division? You letting some tag teams go. You had people that you could have paired up together and
release them.
So it's going to be interesting.
I noticed that when Kairi Sane came out, you don't hear representing Damage Control.
Yep. And Liv, well, I'm going to get ahead of ourselves. Yeah, well, I'll save that. Yeah. Also, good to see Kairi back. It looked like she put on a little bit of muscle, which is good for her because, just physically, it seemed like it was taking a toll on her.
Yeah, but when you're taking bumps, you need a little cushion.
Yeah,
little cushion.
She's not the biggest woman, so
yeah, but she's yoked for her frame for sure.
By the way, best elbow drop in the game.
Absolutely. You see how high them
the insane elbow, like Kyrie's elbow. Like I always thought Macho Man had the greatest elbow.
Yeah,
I'm never gonna disrespect Mach. I'll just say maybe Kyrie's 1B.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. Yeah. Also, Tommaso Ciampa got a victory, but I think the biggest story is the return on Bray Wyatt's birthday, the Wyatt 6.
Yeah.
Wyatt 6 is back. I feel like, and like we were just saying, it just seems like there's a little wonkiness with the tag team division, and now you got a team of 5 people. Well, 6.
Soon to be.
Yeah. So it's like, you really got to see what they do. It was a great nod and just doing it on Bray Wyatt's birthday.
Chills, man.
Yeah, and then the cake in front of him with the candle.
Even before that, like Montez. Montez is just money. Montez
is money.
He helps up on the rope. The lights go down. Wyatt 6 appeared. Montez gets that frightened look on his face, does the sign of the cross. Like Montez is money, and you can pull the trigger on him whenever you decide to.
Absolutely.
But I'm loving him and Dawkins still,
Yeah, I can't. That's the thing. You just like, you don't want to see them
both have
split.
stepped their game up so much. So I'm really liking it, and I hope they get a decent run with these straps. But yeah, the Wyatt 6, you just kind of get chills when you hit you hear the music, you see all of those things that Bray created come to life in human form. And it's still, man, it's still kind of like it trips you out a little bit, you know? And then as someone who loved Bray Wyatt, it still kind of gets you a little emotional and sad.
Absolutely emotional. Like there's no way around it. And it's one of those, every time you see it, like the way that he's in the back of your mind watching those guys is almost a happy tear moment.
Yeah.
And for it to be his brother, I can only imagine what goes through his mind. Every time he gets in the mirror and puts that mask on before he goes out, like that's got to be heavy. As a man with 2 brothers, man, I couldn't imagine. We got to get him on the show, man. We got to get our Barbara Walters moment on that.
Super necessary. But like you said, the birthday cake, the in the ring, and then my life for yours. Right before he blows the candles out, like, man. it was a moment, man, and it was something I'll remember for a while.
Yeah, but they put the tag team division on notice, so we will see what's going on with the Wyatt Six.
And can we just hurry up? We already know where we're going with this. Alexis 6. Just get her in there. Let's get this thing running. But it's also kind of cool the way they're using them is kind of like they're not there all the time, right? Yeah. And they're now an attraction. I feel like we're making them an attraction, so you don't have to see them all the time.
Yeah.
They don't have to be on every show. You bring them out specifically for moments, and then you kind of let them fade back into the background, because if you're not going to push them to the moon, which I don't think they are right now, then you kind of just use them the way they're being used. And I kind of dig it right now.
Right. Before, obviously, they put the title on him, which I thought was too early. But that's how I felt about The Fiend. You never know when The Fiend was going to pop up on you. And we all know how successful that was. But now, Friday is gone. It's time for your Saturday night main event, folks. And a lot went down in these little 5 matches. We had Zelina Vega getting the victory over Chelsea Green. A little mixed up during that match. I mean, Chelsea seems to be in great spirits, but these things happen. These things happen. It's unfortunate, but they love each other. They'll be okay, guys. Chelsea Green making fun, which I knew was going to happen. Mick Foley was here, and if you know about Mick Foley, he lost his ear during the match, and all he could think about was the promos that he got to cover, missing an ear. He talked about the thumbtacks and was like, I might lose an eye, but think about the pop. Yeah, so Chelsea's going to be making money.
By the way, I don't want to interrupt you, but the last time we were here, Mick Foley was sitting over here.
Mick Foley was here, bro.
Like, that is
Who do we think we are?
Yeah, that still trips me out a little bit. The fact that, Mick Foley gave us 2 hours of
2 hours.
And we could have talked to him for 8 hours.
Honestly, he would have allowed it. We could have went with him to lunch.
Well, dinner. Well, I don't think he had a good dinner planned.
Chill, TJ, chill.
But yeah, look, I'm just going to say this. The internet's going crazy over this Zelina move that busted Chelsea's nose. And it's just like, it wasn't a 619. It was like a 308.5.
That's good math.
Thank you. It wasn't a 619. It was a 308.5. And, like I said, things happen, but it just didn't look good. And, it reflected in the noise that came online after.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And that's the thing that, as a performer, sucks to have in the back of your head. Yeah. It's just like, the one thing you don't want to do in this day and age is feed the internet, because the internet is full. She don't need nothing more. No, right? So to have that in the back of your mind, it's got to be for every performer. For every performer, that's got to be like, oh, great, here they come. But yeah, these things happen. These both are professionals. I'm sure it's not the worst injury that either of them had. Nah. And we'll see the bounce back. Was also another injury that was on the show, not necessarily hurt during the match, but he went into the match with the news that he's been performing hurt. Our buddy Drew McIntyre.
That's my guy.
He takes the L to Damian Priest. Damian Priest put on a great performance. They were able to kind of manipulate the feeling of him walking out as being this disrespectful taunt to Drew McIntyre. And then, of course, the governor, Jesse Ventura.
Let me tell you something. Jesse Ventura hated that more than more than he hated anything. He did not like the fact that Priest just walked out. For a split second, I'm like, "What, is Drew really hurt?" Because he took the concerto, and I was like,
and it looked real
good. So I was like, well, maybe he's walking out because he don't want to touch. I don't know, man. It did seem kind of a weird ending.
Yeah, because he looked back. The look back.
You're like, no, he's gonna step. My whole mind is like, all right, he's gonna take a couple steps down, realize, go back in, bust him up. But no, he walked right out. So that leads me to believe that maybe something was called during the fly. Yeah. Was that really how the end of the match was supposed to be? I got to call, text Drew later and find these things out. I got his number, so what?
Oh, man, big flex. Big flex. But yeah, Damian Priest gets the win.
Yeah, shout out to Priest.
It seems like Drew's going to be taking some time, which obviously as fans of pro wrestling, we got to completely understand. I mean, the man's hurt. Give him some time.
And even if he's not, give him some time off.
He's been doing great work, back to back to back to back. So shout out to Drew McIntyre. We need you on the show, man. Also, we found out who the third man was. Finally, Yeah, dude. It was Punk and Sammy versus Braun and Seth. And somebody came out the crowd. Somebody big as hell came out the crowd.
You know, the way the camera shot was, you could tell somebody was going to be coming from that corner. The way they had it lined up, had no idea who it was going to be, but you could just tell something was building.
Yeah,
and then
it was
you
a
see
mass.
this massive person come jumping over. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's
it looked like
Bronson Reed.
Kingpin was the third man, dude.
And boy, he just took Punk out. Just wiped him out.
Wiped him out. It was a moment once they show. By the way, it's Bronson Reed for us people who don't know.
Big
Bronson. But yeah, Bronson Reed, the Vegemite Menace himself.
There you go.
He's the third man. I love that while they were showing, just the group in its entirety to hard cam, Punk still tries to crawl
to get Paul,
to get to Paul Heyman. And what does Bronson Reed do? I'm gonna just throw my whole body
on you.
My whole body.
Even before that, it's almost like Braun Breaker didn't know.
Yeah.
So
the standoff.
So Bronson comes in the ring and Braun's like, oh, okay, let's do this. And then Seth kind of jumps in and hugs him. And if you recall, of course, Bronson tsunami'd Seth like 18, 19, 25 times to put him out.
Eternal bleeding. Bro.
Yeah. So, that was interesting to see those two come together. Then Braun kind of got it and Paul was just smiling the whole time. And, that I guess that's your new faction, right?
Yeah, Bloodline Light.
But I don't know about that, man. It's like,
I'm a hater, bro.
I know you are.
I'm a hater.
But just the way groups like that are traditionally designed, right? You usually have one monster.
Yeah.
They got two.
Got two.
With Seth. So it's going to be interesting. Do they add someone else to the group? Is this how they're rocking? I'm invested, though. I
mean, right now, they don't need no more help.
Right? Because
we the ones that need the help, bro.
They're going to KMD. They're going to cause much damage.
Yeah, right now.
And I know I said KMD. You know that.
Yeah.
Third base.
I know Roman had to call Punk Paul. Roman needed Punk's help for Survivor Series. Mm-hmm. Right now, Punk need
I
Roman,
didn't even think about that.
Punk need Roman,
I just didn't even get that far ahead.
Yeah, Punk need Roman. So
you know that gasp? That was a real gasp on my part.
Man, that's No Contest Wrestling Podcast gasp right there.
Let me know these things sometimes.
And then we had just the ageless one, not John Cena. Ron Cena himself. John comes out and does the black and white thing. He's ruining wrestling, so it's boring as hell. That's why I'm throwing it away. But then you think you're gonna hear Truth's, music. Mm-hmm. What's up? But he comes out to Cena's music, does Cena's entrance, does the running the ropes, does the whole nine as John Cena's number one
just
fan.
Sitting there staring darts at him.
Hating. And it's just, you didn't know what you were about to get out of this match, but for Truth to come out and he had us in the palm of his hands.
Yep.
Just more of the priceless comedy that he brings you effortlessly. And, they have their match. It's not long.
No.
Not long. You could listen to a good R&B song and the match would be over. But I guess that's how it should go right now. It's non-title. Yeah. John is going on this tour, and he's the undisputed champion. So it should be that quick. But he went in there. I didn't know he had a losing record to Truth.
I didn't.
He 1-2 against Truth.
Yeah,
that was wild. So way to tie it up. All right, but you don't have the over.
I just had a weird thought too. Like lately, I haven't said it on the show. Now I'll say it now. John Cena keeps saying like he wants to ruin wrestling, right? Mm. Knowing that TKO is, I guess, trying to seemingly distance himself from the WWE of old, what if, like, John Cena's for real, and he takes this title and he dips, and now they've got to start a whole new lineage of WWE with this new ownership and everything? What if that is the case, where they're just like wrestling as you knew it in the past? This is new.
That's pretty good screenwriting.
I mean,
that's
because like I said, I'm always trying to think like, where could they be going with this? Like, what if he really does? What if he's like, nope, this is it?
Well, it's looking like his last date is going to be a Saturday night main event in Boston, where he's from. And there's nothing like watching Boston lose a championship, so I hope he loses it.
Well, he traditionally doesn't get cheered in Boston for some very weird reason.
Because Boston is crazy. They're a bunch of nutcases, dude. And then, I've been waiting for these drums for a long time. We had Jey Uso versus Logan Paul. Obviously, John Cena backstage has his little run-in with Jay. Thinks about how cool it would be if a little YouTuber, as he put it, would take Jey Uso's title. John Cena comes out to try to help Logan Paul succeed and get this title. And then you hear... Cody Rhodes is back, folks. Adrenaline in my soul. Something. Cody Rhodes. So Cody Rhodes is back. He helps out Jay, his buddy. And from there, we get a setup for a Money in the Bank match. I haven't seen this at Money in the Bank. We're getting champion versus champion with tag teams, of course. Logan Paul for John Cena, Cody Rhodes for Jey Uso. And where does it happen? That's right, folks. Los Angeles. LA gets everything, and I'm just sick of it.
And more... That is not the words I thought I was going to hear you say. More importantly than that, that match will take place no more than a 15-minute drive from where we sit right now. Damn. And that is with traffic to get over to the Intuit Dome, home of the Los Angeles Clippers, where O'Shea should be banned. He's probably not yet, but I'm sure at some point he will be banned. Facial recognition and all that. But yeah, right down the road, man, I'm looking forward. I haven't asked for tickets. I haven't talked to anybody for tickets, but we got to go to this show. I mean, it's right down the street.
We going. We already there. We might as well help build the ring.
I would do that, as a matter of fact.
It'd be fun.
I would definitely
get on the ring. I used to build my dad's stage on tour.
Yeah, so, you know, and I've worked in production. I built things.
Yeah, he built things.
Yeah.
The hell?
Yeah, that I mean.
All right, now.
But yeah, so I got to be honest with you, though, man. Saturday night's main event now seems less like a PLE and more just like a little hyped up regular SmackDown or Raw.
You're getting a little Sunday night heat on me. You know, it's feeling a little,
I mean,
like if you don't have them big moments at the end, it's you're just showing me commercial after commercial after commercial. And I get it, make your bread.
Yeah, you got to get
make your bread. You got to keep the lights on. But I'm just saying, as a viewer, what everybody's thinking as a viewer. And I
like to think that we're men of the people. You know what I'm saying? We say
sorry.
We say to these mics what they're out there saying in these streets.
Yeah, man.
So this is just a thought. Like, I was very excited when I heard it was coming back, and now it's just like, okay, it's cool.
So Saturday night main event happened, but there's some other stuff goes down, and we all know we will get to AEW. We're gonna knock out WWE first. NXT Battleground. We started it off with a banger.
Yo,
Sol Ruka.
Who?
Kalani Jordan.
Who?
Come on, dog. It's a way to start the show. The ladies did not come to play.
No.
All right.
They're not for game.
And, you know, the internet's going crazy. Obviously, Sol Ruka is doing her thing, coming into her own, only 2 years in. And my God, what a star. But don't sleep on the performance Kalani put on, too.
Yo, those two just like close like Starsky and Hutch. You put them together.
That was such a good match, dude.
You know, you take two magicians. You take, Copperfield and Doug, whatever the dude's name is.
Yeah, help me out whatever the dude's name is. Yeah.
But like, you know what I'm saying? They just go together like chocolate and peanut butter, like pepperoni and pizza. Like you put them together and something special is going to happen. And look, man, they deliver when they're in that ring.
They were showcasing, bro.
The high athleticism. I will say this, though. It seems like storytelling, and I don't want to be that person who starts getting
it's all right
to storytelling. It's almost just like you want to nitpick for the sake of nitpicking. So I'll say it, even though it's not that, whatever. Like the storytelling, I don't know if they're quite there yet. It's a lot of high spots, a lot of athleticism, but I'm okay with that because these two women are still new in the game, man. Yeah. They've got a long career ahead of them, a long time to really understand and put all that stuff together. But what they're showing us is incredible.
It's great. And the thing is, it also fit. It also fit. You're starting to show off, You're starting to show off. You want to get the crowd electric. And it really felt like both ladies were showing off great athletic ability. They showed great chemistry together. And it is the perfect way, I think, for that PLE to have start.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sol Ruka getting the win and retaining.
And the other magician was Doug Henning. My bad. David Copperfield and Doug Henning.
Yeah. I mean, Doug, whatever his name is great too. I knew who he was talking about.
He had a mustache. But the Soul Snatcher, man. This finishing move is. I must have watched this 15 times from 8 different angles. Mm-hmm. The precision that it takes to pull off what this woman did, doing that off the top rope, the trust that they both have to have with each other, with one another. She's going blind backwards into this. Kalani's got to put herself in the position right there, and they hit it perfectly. If you haven't seen it, if you're watching this podcast, I guarantee you've seen it because you're all wrestling freaks like we are.
Talk to them.
But if you haven't, just go on Twitter, go on Instagram, go on YouTube, search this out. One of the greatest finishers I've seen. That whole sequence was amazing. Yo, bravo.
Kudos.
Sol and Kalani, you did your thing. And now it's going to be interesting to see. I think that's the second time on like a PLE that they've wrestled, if I'm not mistaken. So I think the third time's got to be for something, really big. Maybe the NXT Women's Championship. But you let those two kind of do their thing for a while.
Yeah.
Bring them back because it's something that you can always go back to and know that these two are going to deliver no matter where we put them or when we put them. They're going to rock the house.
Box office.
Yes.
And by the way, Sol Ruka is holding 2 titles right now. She got the speed title too.
Sold 2 titles.
Yeah, sold 2 titles.
That doesn't even sound right. We got to come with something a little bit better than that. But yeah,
And then what else we went down? We have friend of the show, Stephanie Vicaire. Stephanie Vicaire, who Stephanie Vicaire is so good at wrestling.
Let me explain something.
It drives me crazy. I was watching her. By the way, she was going up against Jordan Grace. While I was watching her, I had the tweet of just like, this lady is insane. Yeah. It's just the way her movements, the way she just flows, everything looks so effortless. It's like she's floating sometimes. And she was in her bag. It was just seamless. It was seamless, the performance she put on. And then Jordan, you can, of course, not right now. Right now, NXT is Stephanie Vicaire's. But Jordan is going to be such a fun champion when that finally happens because she's the type of performer you can tell she's always going to, how can I top the last thing I did? And there's a part of her coming from TNA where I know she wants to prove that to the WWE crowd. She's hungry. Obviously, she's yoked.
Yeah.
Yoked.
Yeah.
So the time is coming. But for now, they put on an excellent match at Battleground.
The NXT women are just so incredible.
Yeah, dude.
They are so incredible.
It's crazy.
There's not much more you can say about it than that. Those two, almost like, Sol and Kalani, those two seem to be made for each other, and like you said, Stephanie does these moves and, it's just like you sit there in awe of some of the things that she does. It's like, I don't want to say a perfect wrestler because I don't know. I want to get ahead of myself, but man, she's getting to the point where I'm really questioning what she could do better.
Yeah.
Bro, what I mean?
I was thinking, man, I wish I could see her versus Eddie.
Right? Like, I don't know what she could do better, man. And then, she has her usual finishing move. Yeah. Which didn't work. And then she goes and breaks out a spiral tap, which I think I may have seen her do that once. Dude, but it was
scary.
And Jordan, props to Jordan Grace, because Stephanie, obviously, she got, I think, pretty much one of the, if not the loudest pops of the night. The crowd really behind her, even though at one point, there were a lot of Jordan Grace cheers as well. Jordan, being the veteran that she is, so smart, she kind of leaned into the heel thing. Like when Stephanie was going for that Devil's Kiss. Yeah. The first time, Jordan kind of stopped her, rolled her out the ring, picked her up, and then dumped her right in front of Booker. Yeah. And then, my goodness, Jordan Grace just sitting in front of Booker T like,
eating it up.
And Book got all mad about it. Yeah. What's up, man? What's going like Book? Like, you ain't love Stephanie getting dumped at your feet like that. Like, come on, dog. You can't fool us, Book. You can't fool us. But yeah, so Jordan kind of did the thing where, you got two faces. She kind of took the heel roll a little bit without going overboard. But, you know, whenever you make the crowd not get their kiss, the devil's kiss, they're going to get upset. And they were.
Great heel work.
I got to be honest. I love the fact that name has really gotten around. It almost kind of made me sad that they didn't say it on this program. But you know, not this. McAfee, Cole have said it. Corey Graves has said it. You know, so it's cool.
I wonder where they learned that name.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's kind of dope that we had even like the smallest part to do with it. I know you were flipping when I asked the question, but it was just like everybody wanted to know. She kind of seems, I was rewatching that video, she kind of seemed like she knew it was coming. Yeah. She was into it. You know, I saw a few comments way back when we posted, like they thought maybe it was disrespectful to ask her.
Is she doing it?
She's doing it. It's the most over move in wrestling right now. Yeah. Like, so it needed a name.
Right.
It couldn't be
sell some merch
all the time, even though it could. You know, that's a funny name. But, you know, I can't say enough good things about her.
Make them say,
like, you know. And then you had, like, in the crowd, you had Triple A's Chick Tormenta. And Dalius, I believe, is how you pronounce her name. And they're there. And here's where wrestling fans really annoy me, Shea.
Here?
Yeah, let me tell you the stuff I was reading that kind of not upset me because it didn't ruin my day, but it just made me kind of just shake my head. Okay, so remember about 3 weeks ago in the wrestling Twitter, there was a thing about why women seem to get discarded after their 40s. Yeah. You know, there was that whole thing about like, you know, they could still go. And so that was a big conversation piece. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Here you have these two women from AAA who I'm not familiar with their work, but I knew when they were sitting there talking to her, it doesn't take a genius to go, okay, these are AAA women. They're AAA's coming in. You know what I mean? But then I saw so many comments about like, oh, well, that woman looks like she's 50 and she's 50 and she's
way.
Yeah. And I'm like, 2 weeks ago, you jabronis were complaining that older women don't get the chance. And now here's a woman a little bit older, I guess, and you're now saying that she's too old. Like, you got to pick a side, man. Make it make sense. You can't have it both ways. So that was annoying to like kind of
read. They need to watch Queen of the Ring.
Right?
Honestly.
Man, that was just kind of annoying, especially considering you don't know anything about these women. I promise the majority of us don't. I'm sure I've watched I've watched enough Lucha Libre to know that those women can go, man.
Yeah, and if you don't know, they'll learn you.
They'll learn you. And where you think Stephanie got so good? That's, you know, so that was just a little nitpick, a little, you know, check yourself before you wreck yourself to the, yeah, you know him, to the wrestling community. But yeah, so, you know, they get to the back. Stephanie gets the win. She gets the spiral tap. You know, it's going to be interesting. I think I told you we were talking yesterday. Eventually, Jordan Grace, I think, is the one. It's probably going to happen sooner or later because Stephanie ain't going to last long in NXT. You know, Trips and Sean are probably already arguing right now. Yeah. And I think it's kind of obvious, I would think, that Jordan Grace is going to be the one to eventually take the title from her. And I think, you know, she'll do great with it. But Stephanie's amazing. And then, you know, we go backstage later on. We see her talking to the two women from AAA. What I read was some of the translation was like, I taught you everything you know. Okay. You know, I know you from, it was one of those things like, don't forget where you came from, B.
I'm glad you had it because my Duolingo, bro, I was not keeping up.
Yeah, so I think that's where that was going. Like, hey, B, don't forget where you came from, you know? And so it was that kind of thing. They came from the same place, but then out of nowhere, you get JCJ, who's in the background arguing with our girl Fallon Henley. I like to call her a girl because we met her a few times, and I'm a fan. You're a fan. And then JCJ just jumps up like, you know, what did the five fingers say to the face?
Smacked the
JCJ slapped the face off of Stephanie Vicare's lips. Like, but what nobody saw was the forearm that Stephanie threw to JC's jaw. Yeah. That got overlooked after the slap, but bam, and they're going at it. So now, JC, I just, to quote Bill Duke, you know you effed up, right?
Steph is gonna kill
You know you effed up, right? you know that, right?
Yeah, so
La Primera is coming.
Playing no games,
you, JCJ, and I wouldn't want to be you.
No,
you know what I'm saying. But yeah, that was a great match. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, great pop from the crowd.
Yeah, great, solid. And then after that, we got the ruler, Obafemi. Versus Miles Bourne. Now, obviously, we know how Miles Bourne got into this match through the Battle Royal. And you're going against Obafemi, the ruler. You know Oba is coming with the force. Yeah. So pause. So it's important to make sure that you know you're in for a war. But Miles Bourne,
man,
had some spots in that match.
He did.
Where I was like, okay, there he is. There he is. That's what they see. That's why you got the opportunity. Yep. And you know, the crowd is already behind Miles finding out the information that we did about what, you know, he battles with.
Yep.
And, you know, it's not about his disability. It's about his ability. And he
crushed that promo, man.
Yeah. The dude came to play, you know, Baby Orton. And he did his thing. He did his thing against Obafemi.
You know, the baby Viper. Yeah. And, you know, it's tough, man, because you got Obafemi. He's just a beast, right?
Monster.
And so getting a victory over him at this point just is very unlikely, you know. But Miles did a great job of showcasing himself. He had a spotlight put on him. You know, he has, I'm sure, attracted so many new fans based upon the struggle that he's gone through, everything that he's had to overcome. You know, I started following Miles Bourne. I think he had about 5,000 followers on Twitter when I found him, and I just start following him. And, you know, now to see, you know, the guy kind of come up, do his thing, No Quarter Catch crew doing their thing, you know, it's interesting. But again, you got to give it up to Oba. Like now, bro. He's incredible.
The ruler.
You know, Oba works like this. He doesn't work like a big man style. A lot of his matches are kind of fast paced to me. You know, of course, the hard.
And he's going to make you look good.
Yeah.
When we had him on, that's a young man that understands the business. Exactly. He understands, like, he's him, you know, obviously not the character, but like he understands that one day somebody will come for the ruler. And then he understands that this run that he's on is to make sure that that person that he puts over has the moment. And, you know, just certain people got to be in the way. And right now that is a young Miles Bourne.
Yeah, and like I was saying, so Oba, you know, traditionally the pace is a little fast. This one, they slowed down a little bit. Yeah. To kind of give Miles a chance to kind of get his stuff in, build anticipation for the crowd, make you think, hey, is this the night? Yeah. Is this the night? Ultimately, though, the ruler stood tall.
Can't be mad, but Miles cannot be ashamed of that performance.
Nah, man. Well I'm trying to think of what else went down on that when I made some notes here. You know, Bourne, I guess, is supposed to be the baby face in this, which is weird. But the crowd,
people love Oba, bro.
People love Oba, man. And, you know, the double foot stomp into a standing moonsault was a move I wanted to brag. I made a note about that. But Oba then caught him in like a choke slam. This dude, Obafemi.
Yeah, it's just a wall.
And then, of course, after the match, the ruler stands tall, but he gives Miles that nod of approval. Yeah. Like, all right, kid. Yeah. I see you, and that, you know, that's
Oba acting like an OG around here.
OG Obafemi. You know, you did well.
Yeah, well done. And then history was made.
Man, I love history.
History was made, folks. We got Trick Willie versus the TNA World Champion.
Say his name, man. He appears.
I'm sorry.
I believe in no contest.
I love what you did.
By the way, we didn't even like rehearse that. I just did that.
Yeah, off the top.
And you went with it.
Yeah, bro. Come on, dog.
My naysayer.
My naysayer.
Wow. Yeah. Like you and I have been lucky, right? Over the last month, we got to go to TNA a few times. Yeah. We got to kind of see. Yeah. Big ups to TNA. Everybody back there just was so welcoming. By the way, shout out to my man, the inevitable Ace Austin. I know he's going through some injury thing right now. Kayfabe. I don't know if it's real or not, but if it is, get well soon. He was a great guy to meet. But we kind of saw this whole thing with Trick and Joe Henry kind of happen. You know, we were backstage when you know we were talking to Trick for a whole 2-hour show, and I thought he was just there to watch Lash. And then all of a sudden, I realized he's in the corner practicing spin kicks. I'm like, oh.
Yep.
And I said to him, "You're about to do a run in," and he just laughed and smiled.
And then do a little something.
And, you know, I think I brought this up. I had video of him backstage at TNA Retribution?
Rebellion. Rebellion.
My bad.
Yeah.
No disrespect. TNA Rebellion. And, I'm recording him right before he dips out through the curtain on the side of the stage and does a run-in. I knew I need to post that. But so we kind of got to see this whole thing kind of come to fruition.
Yeah.
And it led to this championship.
Yeah, and it was a moment of, because we've seen this a few times with a few of the other titles in TNA and NXT respectively, and they always retain. Like, whoever belt has been up, they're going to put on a great match, but you get to keep your stuff. So you kind of feel like this is the first time, I think, where the world title was on the line. Yeah. And so, you know what you think is going to happen. Joe Hendry's so over that,
it's insane.
That it's just crazy to think otherwise. But that's why you have to watch.
Always.
Because they going to throw that in your face. Or you think you're smarter than the company. And yeah, man, it was a great sequence. I love that, the title was used, but it was inverted.
Well, even before that, it was like you could tell Trick thought the match was kind of getting away from him a little bit. So he went and grabbed the belt to bring it in. But it's like, why, Trick? You're going to get disqualified,
I thought it was just a heel move, just to forget it. But
the belt was there. Yeah. But who put the belt there?
Yeah, the ref.
The ref.
That's an accident.
That's the ref accident. Didn't get the belt, and then Trick sees this.
Yeah.
He's going to get Joe's finisher. A little poke in the eye.
Yeah.
Hot shot on face first.
Yeah. Then trick
shot. The trick shot, and it's one. Okay.
Yeah.
Two.
All right. Kick. 3.
Oh, dude,
and he had the same face I did.
I just screamed in my apartment.
Yeah.
Because I told you, I was out to dinner. I was having Korean barbecue that night.
Yeah.
So I didn't start watching until you called me. He called me. I'm on my way home. And he's like, so wait. You don't know anything that went on. And I'm like, well, no, man. I said, I specifically, for the first time in dinner, I didn't look at my phone.
Tell me when you find out.
Call me. So I got home and I started watching everything late. I didn't get to AEW till the next morning.
Yeah.
Still stayed off of social, so I didn't know anything went on there. But yeah, when Trick got that 3 count, man, it was such an unbelievable thing, just because you and I, we've been fortunate enough to kind of build a little bit of a friendship with Trick recently.
Yeah,
got to run into him a few times. Great dude. Like I said, we've got a little group chat with him, and it was just so amazing. There you go. That was after a TNA show a few weeks ago. But we're standing there with the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, man, and it's so good just to see, like I said at the beginning of the show, because I thought from the get-go that dude had something special in him. And to be the person that NXT and WWE chose to go ahead and do this thing that's never been done before. There have been, I think, 4 or 5 NXT champions that were also TNA World Champions, but in reverse order. He's been the first one to go from NXT champion
while currently in WWE.
Yeah, so it was amazing. It just shows that this company has a lot of faith in Trick.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to push him. They're going to give him every chance to succeed. Now he's going to go work multiple shows with different opponents. It's only going to make him better as a performer.
Exactly.
I mean, I think they got big plans for Trick Willie, man, and I'm here for it. And, I just said to him, man, just stay healthy, because that's the most important thing. Keep honing your craft, keep working, because they obviously have big plans for you, brother. So I know you and I were both very happy and very excited to see that.
That's our boy. And, obviously the online discourse starts. Joe Hendry gets what they say is squashed at WrestleMania, which he didn't, but it was just a short match.
Joe Hendry got a WrestleMania match with
and a huge pop.
With Randall K.
Huge pop.
Royal Rumble, huge pop.
Yeah.
Mania, huge pop. And now, guess what? Joe is going to be fine.
He's going to be just fine. And people are talking about how, now WWE takes the TNA World title. You have to understand, WWE is now making one of their key pieces of NXT, like on the men's side of things. It's Oba, it's Trick, and they're sending him to TNA. So those eyes that are on Trick now have to go to TNA and check TNA out, and then start to see TNA and how they do things.
And you're going to be happy. You're going to be surprised. There's a lot of talented performers.
Yeah, and then from there, Now TNA people have to be on CW, on NXT. Now they're getting exposure. It's a great
shout out to Santana.
Move. Yeah, Mike Santana, my boy.
Who, by the way, help say, I'm not going to question you, but I was too far away. Santana stopped you from probably getting your ass beat the other day at the First Class Penthouse.
Not with them knees on Francis.
I'm just saying, AJ and KC, I think they would have balled you up. No disrespect. Anyway, the point being, I'm glad Santana was there for the save.
Well, you talking about me getting jumped? Where the hell were you?
I'm saying I wouldn't have to look for
you. Was in the back.
Yeah, but where I was sitting was so far away that it would have been hard for me to get over. Plus, I had security in front of me.
Your own people.
Security was in front of me. They thought I was going to jump in to try to help you. Mm-hmm. Then, as I pushed my way past security, nobody saw this. That's when Santana's music hit. He came down the ramp. I said, "Oh, Shea gonna be fine." So I played back. I went to go jump them in the back, but then they never came back after. So I think they left. But anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Look, the point being, Santana helped you, so I'm glad he's going to get a little shine, because otherwise I'd be sitting here by myself, and 3/4 you wouldn't watch this anymore because he's not here. So I can't have that. So I needed Mike Santana to save my tag team partner, because, like I said, I couldn't get over the way 3,000 people were between me, you, and I didn't have the kendo stick, obviously, because if I did, I would have been right there. But they don't know me there, security. So yeah,
let's get to Monday Night Raw. I'm gonna go through Raw kind of quick because I really want to give AEW their time. Penta going into the qualifying, he gets the win. He's going into Money in the Bank. Yep. Rusev had a quick little match against Tozawa, but it seems like Rusev and Sheamus.
That's where that built.
Yeah, that's going to be, meaty men smacking meat. And,
big meaty men slapping meat. Not me.
The New Day retained over the Creed brothers and the War Raiders. Solid match, too, by the way.
First of all, shout out to the New Day for coming dressed up like Giant Gonzalez with the fur.
Yeah. He lives. He lives. You got,
but your gear's always next level.
Yeah, that's where their mindset, their references, their Easter eggs. It's why people love them to this day. Kyrie versus Liv. Now there's a little bit of drama there because Roxanne out here passing nuggets in the back.
Hey, Roxanne getting, I don't know, I don't know what she's doing.
She seemed like a spy, right?
Right, I don't know,
but she seemed like a little Splinter Cell type.
But it's a no contest. Cell, We gonna ride with Roxanne Perez till the wheels fall off.
Pop rocks,
whatever rocks.
But then we live too.
But we live for Liv, and we ain't never had. We live for Liv, but we love Roxanne too because they both friends of the show.
Don't do this to us.
But also. You know how I feel about Raquel too.
Yeah, that's a Dom friend of the show.
That's a tall drink of water. Let's get to Dom. Yeah, we're talking. Those three. Rock. Shout out to Raquel. I just want to give her.
And I do want to.
But something I touched on earlier, getting back when Liv came out and was like, "Oh, no more damage control."
Yeah.
So that was the part that we said, let's hold up on.
Yeah.
Is damage control finished? Is it Is it a wrap?
They're not introducing it, but with the way things are going at home, Liv. Probably not too much more Judgment Day either.
Wow. I mean, and this boy, Dirty Dom, you are a dog.
Oh, yeah, bro. I aspire to be.
The Riz on this man is just out of control.
You see it?
How are you going to be the greatest Mysterio in the world?
Yeah.
Right? How are you going to be the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time? Yeah. And then have a roster like Dom already has, and then looks like he's going to take our niece, and I don't know what's going on there. She's bringing my man chicken nuggets and tenders. You know what I mean? Yo, Dom, you need to slow down, dog, because you need to slow down. Leave some for other people back.
You think he Leon Phelps?
The ladies' man.
The ladies' man. And then Seth called his shot. He's going into Money in the Bank. CM Punk with probably the easiest day of work. Came in. Gives him to go to sleep, runs back into the crowd, and probably does something somebody from Chicago does after that. Easy day of work, easy day at the office.
I mean, you could call him and find out what he did,
I ain't nosy like that. But that was our recap of everything WWE. Now let's get to, first of all, shout out to my boy Swerve. This is his latest collab with Reebok. The Allen Iverson, I don't know which questions these are, but the answers is Swerve Strickland. Bro.
I'm telling you, those are all right, man.
Yeah, I'm not mad at them. They
sent those
too.
To you?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Free 99, they hating. But
he was on my podcast too, that's cool. As long as one of us got something.
That's true, bro. Anyway, AEW Double or Nothing. Once again, just like Battleground, they start off with a banger from the women's division.
Come on.
My goodness. Mercedes Moné and Jamie Hayter. Hate.
Let me tell you something.
Talk to me, man.
I don't want to keep getting on these folks that sit behind computers and on their phones, but like y'all
screen team.
You have to just come to the realization, put your personal feelings aside. Mercedes Moné, and I'm looking right down the barrel of this camera. No, this one right here, Don Bowie, because I need to know.
Get their ass, bro.
Mercedes Moné is one of the greatest professional wrestlers
you heard
in the world.
You heard.
All right, whether you like it or whether you don't like it, learn to love it because it's the best thing going today. I don't know if it's the best thing going today, but it's one of the best things going today. As a once great wrestler used to say all the time, she's money. That's why her name is Moné. Yeah. She is money, man. Yeah. And I know people want to point to, oh, well, her on the mic's not that great. Sometimes her promos, fine. You know what? If you want to spend all your time just listening to people talk, that's one thing. But eventually you got to get in that squared circle. Yeah. And when she's in that squared circle, she does it as well as anybody on God's green earth.
It's so funny that, there's always the discourse that, WWE is all promo. And then AEW is supposed to be the spot with more wrestling than promo. But then y'all complaining about her promo and then don't give it up for her wrestling.
Make it make sense.
Yeah, and I think I'd always been a fan of Mercedes, obviously, in her time in WWE when she was Sasha Banks. I think I can pinpoint a moment where I was like, oh, she's in my top 5 all time. Was her versus Ronda at Royal Rumble. I was instantly a fan. I was like, she's showing up Ronda on purpose right now. And like she's letting her know like this is my house.
World, yeah.
And from there it was just like, Banks all day, but now it's nothing but Moné, bro. CEO.
Money season.
And her and Jamie Hayter, they put on a great show. The Meteora to the outside of the ring. Oh man, it's just one of those like I flinched. I'm at the house, and I flinched. And Jamie Hayter was selling like the rent was due,
right? Like,
it was a couple though that really connected.
Jamie Hayter just a powerhouse, and the thing is that AEW crowd, they absolutely love Jamie Hayter, and it sucks so bad that she got hurt when she did and was out for so long, because I feel like a lot, what she could have accomplished in those 13 months she was out, like it was over a year, right? It's a long time, and then she comes back. Her look is different. I was a fan of the blonde, the bang, and then she changed. She went like,
wasn't it Scooby-Doo?
Right, like
Daphne
like Daphne building, and at first I was like, okay, it looked like she lost her muscle, but now it's like she seems like she's becoming the Jamie Hayter of old. Like, I guess you got to knock off some
of the rust off, baby,
and also mentally. I'm sure anytime you have an injury, man, mentally. Like I remember I dislocated my kneecap once, and my biggest obstacle was walking down the steps of my apartment. That I walked down like I would take 2 at a time before, and it was just like mentally like, all right, I got to make sure this is all right. So I'm sure with a wrestler, mentally you got to make sure that everything's working right. And I think, she's gotten to the point now where it's like, all right, this is the Jamie Hayter we wanted to see. It's Jamie Hayter that we had before she got hurt. Right. Those two, like I said, man, just props to them. Great match. Shout out to Mercedes for the black and pink, kind of Heart Foundation natty.
That was beautiful.
Like inspired gear.
Yeah.
Her and Jamie Hayter just they did the thing, man.
It's great. Great heel work. Obviously, getting the roll up and the running out the ring. You love that.
The running up the ramp towards
she deserves
the
Owen.
Man.
She deserves it, bro.
Yeah,
and I hate such a banger.
And I hate to see her. No, I'm not even going to say that. I'm not going to say.
But absolutely, and
you know where I was going.
Yeah, for those who don't know. TJ dislocated his kneecap at a strip club incident where he was trying to escape. It got crazy. FTR got the win in their match.
I wish that's how it happened. Be a far better story than what earlier.
Against Daniel Garcia and McGinnis.
Well, just to touch on this real quick, decent match. I wish that most people, I don't know how, did you really watch Nigel McGinnis wrestle back in the day?
No.
Okay. I really wish people understood that, like, Nigel McGuinness, before injuries kind of slowed his career, he was on Bryan Danielson's level at ROH. Okay. Like he was, if I recall correctly, like WWE was looking to sign both of them at the time, and then Nigel had an injury. They took
that fork in the road is the worst.
Nigel went to TNA. He was Desmond Wolfe for a while, but you know, when you go and you watch old ROH, Nigel McGuinness was him, and I don't know if a lot of fans, younger fans now, really know how. He wasn't good. He was incredible. And now we've got this other thing where commentators standing up for commentators against bullies, a la McAfee, Cole, Gunther. Now you've got FTR and Stokely. Why are you trying to start stuff with Tony Schiavone is beyond me. Right. Tony Schiavone, of all people. I've been watching him since I was like 10 years old. Of course, Nigel can't let that go, so he jumps in. Now he's in the match with Daniel Garcia. So I just thought that was interesting that WWE and AEW both had that kind of similar storyline. Yeah. But were as good as Pat, you know, turned out to be, Nigel McGuinness, like I said, was on another level when he was an everyday performer. So
and in a situation like the match that they had, a well-established team like FTR should get the win over a makeshift team.
Whether or not you like FTR or not, the fact is they are one of the best tag teams out there.
Yeah, man.
You know, in wrestling. So, yeah, FTR got that win, and that's what it is.
Rick O'Shea.
Man.
Rick O'Shea.
Can I start from the top of this real quick?
Talk to him.
First of all, how ill is the nickname the Dapper Yapper from Justin Roberts? Like that name is
the Dapper
sick, right?
Yapper.
The Dapper Yapper. And then I love how he introduces him. Show some love.
Yeah.
For Ricochet. I've never heard anybody kind of get that type of, and it shows some love for Ricochet. I like that.
Yeah.
So I just like when it starts.
Ricochet's doing some great work over there as well. You know, it's one of those, he got so much flack for, once again, him on the mic though. Yeah. But now it just feels like he is diving into it, and it's so just amazingly annoying. And I love that for Ricochet. But he went up against Mark Briscoe in what I call a horror match.
Man, and you know this, I love Mark Briscoe so much. Yeah, man.
You love him.
And I just wish, man, that like the Briscoe brothers would have had their chance to go to the WWE, because we could have gotten Briscoe's Usos, Briscoe's New Day, like the amount of just tag team bangers that we could have gotten, but they WWE said, I believe they weren't aesthetically pleasing is what they said, but
like WWE has had some of the prettiest people on earth.
But again, do yourself a favor if you're not familiar, man. Just go to YouTube and just look up Briscoe Brothers promos. When I tell you that Jay Briscoe and Mark, I will put in my top 10 of all promos. Yeah. The promos were amazing. The matches were incredible, and still just so sad to see Jay pass. But luckily, Mark is still doing this thing, and low key, like I feel like Mark Briscoe is a treasure.
Yeah.
And one day I want to see, just to get ahead of this, I want to see Mark Briscoe and R-Truth together in a program somehow, some way, because I feel like that is comedy gold, and that would be something that the entire world would smile at.
Yeah, make them interview each other or something.
Just something. Mark Briscoe and R-Truth together. But man, this was a really violent, bloody match.
Bro, it was it was a point where I was like, okay, we got some color. Oh my goodness. It's a lot of color.
Yeah.
And
it was up there on the mood
scale. That smile with just the crimson mask, and you're just like, this is kind of nuts.
This is why
and
I love
also,
wrestling.
Can we just figure out where he's stashing all these damn scissors?
He's hiding them.
What is happening?
Well, I'm pretty sure he hid one on the rail underneath the ring.
He had one in the ambulance.
In the ambulance. It's smart. It's smart. You got to choose your weapon and use it wisely, But just like, man, I love the match. Bloody, like the use of the stretcher, the use of blood.
Oh, it was a crazy leg drop onto the
leg
stretcher.
drop.
That was crazy.
Just everything about it. It was, and then pulling out the cleaning products and then cleaning Ricochet. Why you bald? Cleaning Ricochet's head. Just like I said, just that type of entertainment.
That type of sports entertainment.
That you can throw in essentially a hardcore match like this. Yeah. I love the match, man. And I'm probably that's a match that I intend to go back and watch again. Because like I said, I like both of them, and I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it was either an elbow drop or I think it was an elbow drop. Either way, Briscoe hitting Ricochet on that stretcher. Ricochet gets the win, but not without having to go to hell with Briscoe. From there, also we have the Hurt Syndicate getting the win. People. Yeah, getting the win over the Sons of Texas. People. Well, and just I know him as Goldust, but it just Dustin Rhodes. Every time I see him, I'm just like, man, like I think about that match he and Cody had at AEW, and I underappreciated that guy.
Oh, okay.
I underappreciated that guy, and the run that he's having right now, the man seems to be happy. There's enough roads for everybody, it seems. And the Hurt Syndicate though, they're on fire. They retain, and now that they have MJF attached to them, there was a cool little moment where you thought like maybe there's going to be some friction between Bobby and MJF, and they ended up like a gotcha moment for the rest of us and laughed it off.
I put on Twitter, I'm like, did they just become best friends?
Right. It was one of them moments like they're going to be here for a long time. And now you just added a third technically fourth. MVP is nothing to laugh at either.
Still best
so you added a fourth dangerous ally to the Hurt Syndicate, and it's crazy right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. You just death taxes and not trusting MJF are things that I feel just staples of life. Yeah. So we all
sleep
know.
One eye open.
Yeah, I just don't know where this is going. They're going to mess around and make MJF a baby face. Like people are just loving the fact that he is with the Hurt Syndicate. So I mean, look, I have no idea where this is going.
Right.
But I'm invested. Love Bobby. Love Shelton.
Yeah.
Love P. So let's see.
I think just from my own personal opinion, seeing them not anything that's obviously Swerve and Hangman, the main guys, but like as far as stories go, it's probably the second most interesting story there. Like watching the Hurt Syndicate is something that I look forward to on AEW programming.
Yeah, because you don't know where MJF's going to go.
Don't know what's happening.
You don't know what he's going to say.
It's interesting, and I don't know where it's going.
And that's the thing. You're going to keep me tuning in, and that's, essentially what you want.
But then you had Okada versus Speedball Bailey.
Can I tell you something about this match?
Talk to me, man. That's what we here for. It's why we
got mics.
Okada
went over, right? But I'm going to be very honest with you. There were numerous times in this match, at least 3, where I went, Mike Bailey's going to beat Okada. Like, that's how good this match was. It was Okada seemingly not being able to have a defense for Mike Bailey spinning kicks.
Right.
He was getting the crap kicked out of him. Yeah. Speedball Mike Bailey doing all types of video game, and it's just like I was at the point where I was resigned to the fact, this is what I told myself about 5 minutes left in the match. Like, all right, I know we're going to Okada Omega. We need that. They don't need a belt. Like, that doesn't need a title.
Yeah.
So, I guess Mike Bailey's going to beat him. Yeah. And that's how close it was because I was like, let it go. All right.
Bailey's until your ass get drop kicked out of midair.
by one of the 3 prettiest drop kicks in the business. And then you get, your neck broke with a clothesline. And you realize, this is Rainmaker Okada.
Yeah, let me just cut all this out.
Yeah, he's one of the best in the world. But man, it was a better match than I was expecting.
Yeah.
But it's Okada, right? I think
I tweeted, I'm like, Okada not losing this, bro. Not yet.
I really didn't think there was a chance,
like that's why Speedball is putting on the performance that he is, and that's how you know like you're dealing with pros. As far as like you got to look good, but I ain't about to lose this, bro. I'm Okada, man. Rainmaker. You better drop a coin or something. And sorry, I'm thirsty. You know how it is.
Go ahead.
Tony Storm, timeless Tony Storm versus Mina. And some of the best display of sportsmanship I've ever seen.
See?
Forgive me. It's sportsmanship. What do you want me to do? I didn't do anything. All I said was that's the type of sportsmanship I like to see from my wrestling program. Timeless Tony Storm, Mina. Obviously, they have a friendship going in, but Mina wants the victory.
What's the title?
It's the title, dude. And, like, by the way, can we talk about how beautiful the AEW women's title is? That's a good looking.
They definitely came up from the original.
Sell it, by the way. Sell it on your site, please.
I mean, that first title was nice, but it was small. This one is, you're right. This is much better looking than the men's title, I think, because I don't remember what it looks like. But.
I mean, I would have brought it for the AEW segment, but I just feel like the big spray painted X over it, it's a little, it sends the wrong message.
You could get some, you could wipe it.
I'm not wiping that off, bro. It was a moment. But obviously, Timeless Tony Storm, she gets the dub. It's just where they're setting up this Monet versus Tony Storm at All In. That's going to be box office. A lot of people are having whispers that might be the main event. And so it's a weird spot because you think about how much they built up Mercedes. You think about the resume that Tony Storm has had, and how, like, it's as far as women's matches in this company, this is the biggest one. You got the TBS versus the big girl, the big girl belt. So like, it is such an important match about the future of the women's division in AEW. There's a chance. They have a right to kind of see if that can be the main event. And if it is, that makes Monet the only person on the planet she's main evented for women's, at least, main evented Mania and All In.
Is she the only person?
If she gets it, she'll be, I mean, like, I don't know another lady.
Oh, yeah, female. Yeah. No.
Yeah, bro. So another historic moment if it comes to fruition. I'm rooting for it because I like seeing history be made.
Just gonna make a lot of people more mad than they already are.
Yeah, I love that for them. And then we have obviously what this needed all the time for, the Anarchy in the Arena. Swerve, Kenny, Willow, the Ops versus the Bucks and Death Riders. TJ, this match is insane. This match was insane. This match had so much ridiculousness that, like, how could you not appreciate it? Number one, for the Bucks to have that ridiculous intro of just like the founding fathers, and then from there, Kenny Omega telling him to switch up the music. I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. And then he had a moment where he said, "Yeah, can we switch it to some early 2000s alternative rock?" And I'm expecting alternative rock. And I hear, "Let the bodies hit the floor." Pretty sure that's not alternative rock, but I'm a rap baby. What do I know? And it was chaotic, dude.
Yeah. It really was. That's what Anarchy in the Arena is all about. It's chaos. You know what I mean? And it's chaos from the jump because you got 4 screens going. People are in all different positions in the stadium, in the ring, in the arena. You got guys fighting at the concession stand. You got people outside. You got people in the ring. You got people in the ramp. Like, it's just, I don't even know how you keep track of this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what it looks like while you're there. I hope that they have monitors showing everybody what's going on because it is chaotic. It is fun. It came with a soundtrack. To the people who had to listen to "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor" 4 times in a row, God bless you. That's a lot to take in.
I like that song.
I do. I loved Fiend before WrestleMania. Fiend, and I can't get that out of my dreams. But it was amazing. There was a crazy spot. I forget who had to get the short end of it, but hanging over the ropes, and I think it was Matt Jackson that landed on him into his brother. Giving him a power bomb through a table. It's an insane spot. That was one that stood out to me. Obviously, Willow was what do you say? An underappreciated MVP. There was a moment where I really thought she was going to get the pin, and I love me some Willow Nightingale. Like, I just see the lady and I get happy. And but the match goes on. I'll get to that in a minute because there's one thing that mathematically I need people in AEW to understand. Swerve Strickland plus Staples equals Popeye plus spinach. Do not show this man Staples. You show Swerve Strickland Staples and a gear kicks in with that dude. He starts to get sadistic. He ends up getting his tongue stapled by Maria, dude. And I asked him, "How did you get that out?" He said, "The doctor and fingers."
You talked to him after?
Yeah. I mean, you got your tongue stapled on TV and showed us.
Wow.
you're a sicko, dude. You're a sicko. And it really was an entertaining match throughout. I do feel like, like I said, there was a moment where Willow was about to get the pin, and I really felt like, that's where things could have ended. It drug out a little bit for me, but the spots that they did fill that time with were amazing. And the saving grace for me, at least, Swerve getting that sneaker promo at the end, that's hilarious. How do you not find that funny?
You got tax on the bottom of it?
Oh no. Mine are cool.
Oh, okay.
They didn't come with tax. Thank goodness, bro. But yeah, he turns his Allen Iversons into cleats, ends up getting the victory. That match right there, bro, is one of my favorite matches that I've watched from the company. And as a whole, Double or Nothing, everybody who's followed me knows that my favorite AEW pay-per-view has been Full Gear when it was at the Forum. Mm-hmm. This took the cake.
Yeah,
this was my favorite AEW pay-per-view I've ever seen. And I loved it. Silence.
Because I'm trying to touch on something that you haven't. I think you hit everything, man. It's chaos. It's insanity. There's blood. There's tax. There's staples. There's a high-low forklift. There's a swerve stomp off the top of a forklift. There's Kenny Omega being just, hyped up by Powerhouse Hobbs to do a backflip off of the railing.
Oh, right. Yeah, that spot's insane.
Yeah, just like, man, there's so much going on. There's so much going on. Like I said, I'm just checking my notes.
Shout out to Smo Joe.
Right. Like, Joe was great. Everybody, and then you had Hook come out.
Oh, right.
And now you can see, though, that there's a little beef there with the ops in Hook, which I get because Hook gets hurt. Hobbs takes his place. I think Hook's going to play you didn't check on me, you just replaced me. So that's where that's going. Yeah. But then you had the announcers who and I guess I'm never going to be happy.
I know where you're going.
Okay, because he comes out in a hood, and sometimes the announcers were like, well, who is it? When it's so painfully obvious who the person is.
Frame.
And you're like, what do you mean, who is it? But then Hook comes out, and I think it was Tony. I don't know. Was it Taz? I don't think it was Taz. I don't think Taz said anything.
Yeah, Taz better not be like, who is that?
They were like, oh, it's Hook. And I'm like, before the hood was off. And I'm like, well, yeah, man, just wait till the hood's off. And it hit me like, either way, I've been complaining. Like, if they act like they know who he is or they act like they don't. So I don't know what to do. You just do whatever you're doing.
Yeah, man, do your thing. By the way, the hoodie was hilarious.
It was
Kenny that was hard. And I know what I want to bring up because I got a bone to pick with you. That title is not in that briefcase. What did y'all do with the title, man? I know something happened to that title. There's no way that you just don't show your heavyweight title on television. What y'all do to that title, bro? Because it's not in that briefcase. Because Kenny was about to punt it, and then he was like, let me just give it a nudge. That briefcase is way too light, bro.
Well, Kenny went to break his toe on a briefcase that was holding 20 pounds of gold in it.
TJ.
20 pounds of gold in that thing. He breaks his toe, then what?
I'm all for Elias and Ezekiel not being the same person. I'm all for most ridiculous things. That title is not in that briefcase, bro. It's not in there. And I don't know what y'all did. We'll find out one day during the documentary. But just know, I know it ain't in that foam-ass briefcase covered in tape. Thank you.
And that was on his mind.
Yeah, man. Obviously, there was Don Callis family getting the win over Paragon, but we are ending our show with Hangman Adam Page, Will Ospreay. When I say this match was solid, bro,
as a rock,
bro, they did their thing, and I went in rooting for Hangman. Obviously, they had their promo battle, and I have been going against Hangman for a long time because I'm a Swerve Strickland guy.
A little bit of a hater.
But Hangman, I used to have a friend that worked for that company. But Hangman won me over with this match. And I chose with the promos first, but with the match. And Hangman, number one, you're going to Texas. You're going to Texas. it's hard to go into Texas without, the guy who's a cowboy going for the belt. Okay. But still had the drama. I love that Will Ospreay, he's been talking this best in the world. And he came out showboating a little bit. He came out, just a little confidence, and Hangman had to kind of show him throughout the match, like, no, you're going to respect me. Like all these taunts to the crowd, the bows, all the laughing and the shit while we're like, no. You're going to respect this gangster, bro. So like Hangman doing his thing. Obviously the spot that I really liked, some little storytelling, if you will. How about that?
Which one?
Them using their rivals'
moves, right? Yeah, I like
that. Was sick.
Yep,
that was some sick shit, dude. You got any favorite spots out of that match?
Man, just it's not even so much just the favorite spot of the match for me. It was the build up, right? Because that promo that they had before the match where Ospreay is telling his story about how he flies over every Tuesday, 12 hours or whatever. And he
completely
leaves,
by choice, by the way.
Yeah, leaves his family. He doesn't want to move. Leaves his family. Everything he's done to kind of get to that point. And now they're going back over there. And he's like, I need to be the champion, bro, to prove to everybody, And then you've got Page in his redemption story, like how he's lost himself for 2 years, chasing a vendetta, letting anger kind of lead him.
Yeah.
And now he is trying to come back and be the man that the fans thought he was, or they wanted him to be. So to me, it was just like that build up at that point. After that was done, I was like, I don't know who's winning this match.
Yeah.
Because they both had compelling, valid arguments, very valid reasons as to why they needed to win this match. So I would have been surprised by no outcome. Like either one of them winning would have been bet because they put themselves in the position where they deserve it. Like Ospreay really is one of the best wrestlers in the world. Last time I saw him in LA going up against Kyle Fletcher in a steel cage, that match was insanity. He's on fire every time he steps in the ring. You said you became a Page fan. I think I told you Hangman Page did one of the hardest things in wrestling to do when it comes to me, and that's take somebody who I initially don't like and make me change my mind. And I think it was actually the first Anarchy it was either the Stadium Stampede, maybe. Okay. I think, but it was one of those early matches that I just kind of went, wow, man, this Page dude. All right. I think I was wrong about him.
My sister was the first one to really like point him out when AEW was like so brand new. They still had the receipt. She was like, watch that dude Page and watch MJF.
Well, I think the problem was I start watching him in ROH, and he was essentially a young boy in ROH for BJ Whitmer when he first started out. So I think I kind of always looked at him like that. And then, they went over to New Japan, start working with Bullet Club. And I still was like, this guy in Bullet Club just not doing it for me. And like, even in AEW, like I said, it took, like, I think it was a Stadium Stampede. It was one of the ones that was done outside on the football field.
Yeah, when he ran 60 yards for a lariat.
That was the moment, bro. That was it. That was the whole period of time where I went, yo, I would think I was wrong about this dude, man. And
hoofing it.
He's just gone on to become, a guy who's, dare say, one of my favorites in AEW very easily. The whole thing with Swerve, that whole program was insane.
Yeah.
You broke into your house. You lost your mind. You were just set on revenge, which completely took you off of your path to the point where you did something that you probably never would have done, which is burn a man's house down. And then you had that man say to you, I deserved it, which completely messed up his head because now he didn't now what am I fighting
That's
for?
Therapy.
Right?
That's therapy, right?
So he needed to get back on track. And look, this is a 5-star match, man. Like we don't do rankings. Yeah. This was as good as any wrestling match you're going to see. Solid. All the false finishes, the using of the rivals' moves, like he did the swerve stomp, didn't he? Or he did the big press. Wait a minute, Hold on, did I write
What's
down
the
what
name
move
of
he
it?
did?
We're having such a weird blank right now, but he did the slam. He didn't do the stomp or the.
Yeah, now I'm trying to remember
which,
but it was just like it's
insane. One of those moments where it's like when Ospreay did Kenny's gun.
Yeah, he did hit big pressure on him.
Yeah, big pressure. When Ospreay did Kenny's gun, I was like, ain't no way. Ain't no way.
And then hit a V trigger.
Yeah, he hit a V trigger. Then he's going for
Angel's Wings of Christopher Daniels.
And then for Hangman to reverse it into Swerve's move, big pressure. I was like, that right there is a moment, not even telling stories about each other, but just individual stories coming together to make a one of my favorite moments I could think of as far as performers go, of just like where they've been, the roads that they've been leading them to this spot, and even paying homage to the people that they had to cross to get here. Yeah, come on, man. Get the popcorn.
That is what they call cinema.
Talk to them.
Okay.
Well, I remember a spot.
Okay.
The Styles Clash to the outside of the ring.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yo,
you're going to have to talk.
And again, I think Shivani was like, don't do it.
Yeah, like, we're going to have to talk about this afterwards. Dude, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Dude, you just talked to Mick Foley about how that's the only move that you're not supposed to tuck your chin. I need to know what you did. All right, because all I see is Ospreay go off the side.
You got to keep your head back for the Styles Clash.
I mean, I'm going to the floor. That's crazy.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
That was nuts.
Look, bravo
all around.
Double or nothing.
Double or nothing, man. Well
5 stars,
done,
10
dude.
stars.
Well done. Whatever you want.
Yeah.
It was such an amazing weekend for wrestling. You got to watch TNA. You have to watch WWE and AEW. NXT, bro. Like, everybody brought their A game, and it is exciting to see where they all have a reason for you to have to watch, which means that, man, I'm going to have to be watching a lot of wrestling. But
we already do.
But, like, bro, I was on multiple screens. Do you know how hard it is to pay attention to a tag team match and a 6-man tag at the same time, bro?
I do, because I have 255s
I started
next
mixing
to each
people
other.
up. Okay. It's nuts, bro. And now that they're doing this stack thing, WWE, you're being mean, but it's kind of funny. Doing this thing where they're having pay-per-views at the same time.
Yeah, stop that.
I'm going to have to keep doing that. All right? I'm a single black father.
That's how I watch TV anyway. I got 255s next to each other. So there's always two things going on side by side. And with the laptop. So, that's basic everyday TV watching for me. That's how I get down.
Stressful, man. But
yeah, it's stressful. You got people getting stomped on with new Reeboks with tax on them. You got, Mercedes just DDT and Jamie Hayter, and when she did the package, just dumped her right on their head.
Right.
You got, a guy bringing cleaning products to, shine up Ricochet's bald head. You got blood everywhere. You got guts. You got people jumping off of railings.
Kids is in the corner shooting dice. It's nuts.
You got earrings being handcuffed to ring posts. It's just, this is dangerous out there, man. AEW is wild.
It's wild, dude. But we will be covering that every time you see us on the No Contest Wrestling Podcast. TJ, if you could do me one favor.
What would that be?
Can you tell them where to find us?
Oh, yeah, they might need to know. So if you're on the Twitter/X machine, we're at There's No Contest. Now, if you're going to Instagram, you got to type a little longer until you get in there, but it's No Contest Wrestling Podcast. And of course, all of the videos, you can go to YouTube, you search The Rich Eisen Show, or just put in No Contest, and all of our videos, they'll be there, and you could go back and watch.
We will be back next week. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed this weekend of wrestling.
Yes, sir.
This is the No Contest Wrestling Podcast. Make sure you tip your waitresses.
We'll be here all week. And
hi, Jada Parker.
Bye, Miss Parker.